Well, hello there. This is Skip McCoy with Riversoft University. This segment is Configuration of Riversoft Office, Part 3, Offices, Default Bill Rates, and Default Pay Rates. You'll find those on your Configuration menu right here. Offices, Office Default Bill Rates, Office Default Pay Rates. Offices. Here's a list of the offices in this database. An office is a corporate location that serves a collection of patients, clients, or facilities with the pool of caregivers. And I'll just go through how easy it is to set up an office. First, you're going to need a name for that office, and that is pretty important because it's going to show up on almost every single report that runs out of Riversoft Office. The office code is used to tag every single record in the database, so it belongs to this office, and you'll see it as the first 4 characters on an invoice number. Then there's your corporation name, your federal ID, your national provider ID, and that's going to default to, this value will default to the NPI of all the payers you enter. Server name is a deprecated feature. Weekends on, this dictates the weekending date for scheduling and is also important in the overtime calculations. Rate differentials, this is what you're normally going to pay for overtime and holiday. This defines your shifts, so whenever we're determining the pay and bill rate for a visit, we see which shift the visit belongs in. The office contact information is your service location. The lockbox contact information is your remit to location. This is where your payments are going to be sent to. If your office collects OASIS information, this is the information about your office that's going to be on every OASIS header record. And then finally, logo, I put in the office logo, Riversoft Office logo or Riversoft logo. You put in your logo because it's going to appear on most of the reports that a client is likely to see. For instance, an invoice. If you look there in the top right corner, you'll see the logo you enter. And in the address window of a number 10 envelope, your logo will be on the left-hand side of your address. Okay, offices. That's setting up offices. Now, as soon as you set up an office, now you've got a place for all the office information to go to. And the very first thing you're going to put in are your street rates, your agency street rates, or your office default bill rates. You put them in by skill, and then you'll have a rate, and it's either an hourly or a visit rate. And these rates will be used if we don't find an overriding bill rate at another level. Well, what are those other levels? Let's look at this I button right here. When a self-pay visit is created, we're going to look for an employee client level bill rate. If we don't find one, we're going to look for a client level bill rate. And if we don't find one of those, we're going to use the street rates you've entered right here. If the visit is not self-pay, we're going to look for a client payer level bill rate. If we don't find it there, we're going to look for a payer level bill rate. And if we don't find a payer bill rate, we'll use these street rates. Now, when I say level, what does that mean? How do I say enter an employee client bill rate? And then that's a bill rate when that particular employee sees that particular client. There's a bill rate in there for that. Well, I'll show you. Go over here. You would bring up the client screen. That's not the client screen. Here's the client. Okay. You go to the self-pay area for that client because we're talking about a self-pay visit. Click on Edit Allowed Skills, and this client allows home health aid. And when you click on it, you'll see the the bill rate for Carol Adamus. So that's what Carol is going to pay for home health aides out of her pocket. You can put in an employee-specific bill rate, and that's what's happened right here. This bill rate is when this employee does a home health aid visit for Carol. So that's a pretty specific bill rate. If you took the employee out, we delete this one and put in another bill rate with no employee, that would mean any employee doing home health aid for Carol when it's a self-pay would have this bill rate. Okay. That's what this employee client level bill rate meant. You'd go to the client screen and enter it from there under their self-pay area. Or if you didn't choose a specific employee, it would be a client specific bill rate. A client payer bill rate would be entered from the client screen, except you go to the payer relationships, go to that skill, and enter a bill rate. Okay, so we go through and enter all our bill rates. We'd start at the agency defaults, and then as we entered our clients, our employees, and our client-payer relationships, we would be keying in our appropriate bill rates. Okay. Meanwhile, we still have to key in our pay rates. Our bill rates are what we bill our payers. Our pay rates are what we pay our employees. These are street pay rates. And again, these are used if pay rates are not keyed in at another level. Well, pay rates for self-pay visits are determined by looking at the employee-client level. If it can't find it there, it looks at the employee level. If it can't find it there, it looks at the client level. And then finally, it will come back to the street rate level and just look at the pay rates that the agency normally gives for that skill. If the visit is non-self-pay, it'll look at the employee-client level, the employee-payer level, the employee level, the client-payer level, the client level, the payer level, and then finally, the street rate level. So the whole concept of entering pay rates and bill rates at all these different levels is so that when we're scheduling and we create a visit, that we can pull the exact correct pay rate and bill rate without you having to manually do anything. And this visit says that this pay rate was pulled from the employee skill, sub-skill level, and the bill rate was pulled from the client payer skill level. If you find that your bill rate or your pay rate is wrong, you simply go back to where it pulled it from and correct it. And that way, subsequent visits that you correct will have the correct rate on it. Okay, that's configuration of offices and your office default bill rates and pay rates. This is Skip McCoy signing off for Riversoft University.